was that Jimmy Garoppolo will come back and be their starting quarterback this season. Think about it. He was the original succession plan for Brady here in New England. In 2016, when they had to turn to him while Tom was serving that suspension, he was lights out, winning in Arizona the opening week when all the eyes on the NFL were watching him. And then the next week against Miami, he was great in a win against them before he got hurt. And that's the big thing when we talk about Jimmy. And look, there's no telling if the 49ers would be willing to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, but I was listening earlier in the show, and I heard our own Jeremy Fowler say that the 49ers were a team that Deshaun Watson could envision himself playing for, so you could almost envision how the dominoes could potentially fall.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a fascinating possibility. And Mike, what can you tell? There was all this speculation, and I don't want to go back to all of it, that Bill really wanted to keep Jimmy G at one point and move on from. There's no reason to go back over all of that. But what can you tell us of the relationship between Belichick and Garoppolo, and how highly Belichick thinks of him?
It's incredible, Greeny. You know, when he traded him, Belichick traded Garoppolo in 2017, he would text Jimmy Garoppolo late in that season, hey, congratulations, great job leading them to a win. And Jimmy even talked about it when he led the 49ers to that Super Bowl appearance last year, how they would keep in touch. So the relationship there is very strong, if indeed this was a possibility for the Patriots to bring him back. The connection between the two is indeed strong.
All right, Mike, stay with me. I want to bring the rest of the crew in here. I want to bring in a former Patriot, Rob Ninkovich, among our conversationalists today. And Ninko, I just wonder if you're feeling envious that Bill has remained sort of in texting contact with Jimmy G. I don't know if you still have that relationship with him, but what is your sense of that, of how likely you could see, if Bill is making choices right now, Ninko, how do you like the fit of Jimmy G there?
I mean, I love that take. I love Jimmy G coming back because he was supposed to be the man after Tom Brady, but that didn't work out and he went somewhere else. So I could see them going with a Jimmy G, but I also could see potentially a Mac Jones being drafted 15th overall because of that relationship that Bill has with Nick Saban. All Bill has to do is pick up the phone, call down there to Alabama, say, hey, Nick, what are we looking like here? And he's going to give him exactly what Bill needs to know to make the best choice. And Bill's already drafted 10 Nick Saban players from Nick Saban. So you know that there's a respect there. They coached together for a long time. They have a great relationship. We all know that. So there could be potential for the Patriots to use that cap money that they do have. They have a lot of money in the cap. Invest that in some defensive players, get a young quarterback, and kind of go back in time the way that they were when Tom was a young quarterback. They had a stacked defense and they had a young quarterback. So they might possibly do that moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. So Tim Hasselbeck, do you think the Patriots are in a place right now where they should be trying to bring in a veteran quarterback and make a run, or they should be drafting somebody young and kind of starting over?
Well, I think the roster needs help, but I don't think Bill Belichick is looking for some type of long rebuild process in New England. And so, look, Jimmy Garoppolo is 29 years old. It's not like he's a 37-year-old quarterback. He basically would cost $50 million over the next 2 seasons. As starting quarterbacks go, that's a bargain. And, as Mike Reese talks about the relationship, look, if Bill Belichick is texting Jimmy Garoppolo, as he's having success on another team, he clearly thinks highly of him. I think it would be a tremendous route. And I think it's probably been a really poorly kept secret that, San Francisco hasn't exactly been in love with how Jimmy Garoppolo has done out there. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense for both teams. Do they have the ability to put it together? That would be interesting. But if I were New England and I were in Bill Belichick's shoes, I would actually prefer to go that route.
And so, Mike Reese, let me come back to you with a final thought, and it's an interesting one, but you're around there every single day. How would you describe the level of pressure that they may feel right now to try to win quickly based on the fact that Brady left and in his first year won the Super Bowl?
Well, I would say externally, Greeny, that's all anyone's talking about here in New England. I mean, it's been Tom Brady, even Rob Gronkowski. So, you have to feel the pressure from really the top levels of the organization to say, well, the guy we had here for 20 years in New England just went down and won a championship. What is our response? And so I think a lot of people are waiting to see that response here in New England, the fans. And if you turn on local sports talk radio, I mean, Greeny, the pressure's turning up, which you'd be surprised at, considering that Bill Belichick has led the team to 6 Super Bowl championships. People almost saying, hey, I'll give him a mulligan for this year, but I want to see what he does this year going forward.
It's a tough crowd. I mean, 6 championships and you get it 1 year as a mulligan. That's a tough crowd. All right, Mike Reese, outstanding work. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. There's all that kind of news in the NFL. And then there was this story from yesterday. Urban Meyer, the new coach in Jacksonville, is defending his hiring of that man, Chris Doyle, a former strength coach at the University of Iowa, who was accused there of making racist remarks, belittling and bullying players. Here was Urban Meyer's explanation yesterday.
Well, I met with our staff about it, and I'm going to be very transparent with all the players like I am with everything, and listen closely and learn. And also, there's going to have to be some trust in their head coach that we're going to give them the very best of the best, and time will tell. You know, the allegations that took place, I will share I vetted them. I know the person for close to 20 years, and I can assure them there will be nothing of any sort in the Jaguar facility.
So you're confident there's not going to be any issues?
Yeah, there won't.
Going forward?
They're very confident.
So that was what he said yesterday. Our Ryan Clark on Twitter yesterday said, Urban Meyer's hiring of Chris Doyle is an example of why I praised Bruce Arians for the diversity of his staff. It's more than okay to be accused of racism and bullying of college student athletes because, as Urban said, he's, quote, known Chris for close to 20 years. Get mad, RC tweets, don't care. Let me bring Bart Scott in here. I've heard a lot of reaction to this from any number of different places. What was yours, Bart?
I mean, I think this is just a good old boys club all over again. Just because you've known somebody for 20 years, the allegations were strong enough that the University of Iowa decided to part ways, so they know him better than you know him. And then you look at the fact that other players are coming out. Well, what's the composition of a NFL team? It's majority African American. So listen, I've been around a lot of places, and listen, if he comes in with that same type of energy, he's going to have to use those muscles that he's tried to acquire over the couple of years. Because I've been to some places where I've seen a couple of strength coaches take some L's, and I'm talking about physical altercations. And none of that is going to be tolerated by the players. Forget Urban Meyer. That's not going to be tolerated by the players because these are young men. These are grown men with bills and families. And there's no way that you're going to come in that locker room or come in that weight room. But I've seen, the altercations between players. Listen, nobody hates. Like, you talk about the love-hate relationship between your weightlifting coach. You come in there early in the morning. You don't feel like being there. You got them screaming in your face. You got them checking your cards and treating you like a kid. I don't know if this is going to be a good hire, but once again, this is an example of privilege.
All right, I'll have to leave it there for the moment, but there's much more to be said about this.